All right, we're going to be working on page 140 in our math book. Let's go ahead, let's take a look at problem number 1. Sorry, just trying to zoom in here. Write less than or greater to make make true number sentences. I have 5/10 and 1, that's it. 5/10 compared to 1. Well, let's look at the ones place. A 0 and a 1. Well, 1 is bigger than 0, so 5/10 is less than 1. Now we have 3 and 2/10 compared to 3 and 2/100. 3 in the ones place, that's the same. 2 and a 0. Well, the 2 tells me in the tenths place that it is bigger than this number because I have a 0 in the tenths place. So this is 3 and 2/10 is greater than 3 and 2/100. Next, I have 4 and 83/100 compared to 4 and 8/10. So let's take a look. I have 4 in the ones for both. 4 in the tenths, or 8 in the tenths place for both. Wow, we're getting pretty close, these two numbers. Now in the hundredths place, I have a 3 and a nothing, a 0. The 3 is bigger than 0. Not by much, but it is 3/100 bigger, this number. So 4 and 83/100 is bigger than 4 and 8/10. Really, it's about comparing decimal by decimal, or place by place. I have a 6 in the ones and a 6 in the ones as well. Now let's look at the tenths place. I have a 2 and a 4. I know that 4 is greater than 2, so 6 and 25/100 is less than 6 and 4/10. Now our last comparison here is 6/10 and 7/100. I have a 7 in the tenths place and a 0 in the tenths place. So 7 is greater than 0, so 7/10 is greater than 7/100. Now here I have these numbers that I need to write in standard notation. PEMDAS tells me parentheses first, but I don't have parentheses here, so I need to move on to exponents. 10 to the power of 3. If I were to look in my back of my book, I would discover that 10 to the power of 3 is 1,000. 1,000 times 2 is 2,000. 10 to the power of 5, well, that's 10 times 5, or sorry, not 10 times 5, that's 10 times itself 5 times. My goodness, my words lately. So I'm going to come on over here to 10 to the power of 5. That is 100,000. That has 5 zeros. So 100,000 times 7 is 700,000. 10 to the power of 2, oh my goodness. 10 to the power of 2 is 10 times 10. And I know 10 times 10 is 100. And 100 times 3 is 300. Alright, now on to number 3, fraction of problems. There's a couple ways to approach this, but when I think of fractions of, I think of multiplication. So I just like to change that sign to multiplication. Remember, every whole number has a secret 1 underneath. So 1 times 9 is 9, and 1 times 2 is 2. It would be 9 halves, but 9 halves is an improper fraction, so I'm going to go ahead and divide that up. 2 goes into 9 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8, remainder 1. My remainder needs to be reported as a fraction, and my denominator is my divisor. So 4 and 1/2. So what is half of 9? It's 4 1/2. What is 1/4 of 5? Same idea here. Of means to multiply. Every whole number has a 1 underneath it. 5 times 1 is 5, and 4 times 1 is 4. Now I have an improper fraction, and I already know what this is going to be. It's going to be 1 1/4, but I still want to divide and double check. My numerator is my divisor, and my denominator is my dividend. 4 goes into 5. 1, oh my gosh, I said that so wrong. I'm sorry. My numerator is my dividend, and my divisor is my denominator. I'm so sorry, guys. I've had like way too much coffee, so I think I've just fast forwarded myself here. Now, 4 times 1 is 4. Now I'm going to have a remainder. And my divisor is my denominator, which stays the same, 1 and 1/4. So remember, your numerator is always your dividend, and your denominator is always your divisor. So write these numbers in words. I always like to say the number first before I write it in words. This number here is 16, and the smallest value is hundredths. So I say this number 1600. So I'm going to write that out. $1600. Now let's look at the next number. I have a decimal here, so it's like I'm really saying two different sets of numbers. I would say 3 for what's in front of the decimal. For the decimal, I say and. Now I have 28. The smallest value is the hundredths again. So I'd say this all together as 3 and 28 hundredths. All right. And that is it for page 140